It started off innocently enough. I had been waiting outside my office for my husband to pick me up when his coworker, Jordan, pulled up beside the curb. We'd met a few times before at company gatherings. He was always polite, confident, too charming for his own good, I used to think. That evening my husband had called to say he was stuck in traffic and running late. Jordan offered me a ride. I said yes. That first ride was just small talk, but it felt good. He listened, really listened. He asked about my work, my goals, things my husband hadn't asked me in a while. I dismissed it as a friendly chat, but the next time my husband was late, I texted Jordan instead. The rides became a habit, once a week at first, then more. It wasn't just transportation, it was connection. He noticed when I got a haircut. He remembered I hated driving in the rain. He brought me coffee one morning just because. The small gestures started to feel like lifelines, tugging at parts of me that had been dormant for years. At home, my husband was distracted, always tired. I didn't blame him. Work was draining him, and we had grown distant. Still, I didn't mention the rides, not because I thought they were wrong, but because I didn't want to answer questions about why I needed them. One evening, after a particularly emotional conversation in Jordan's car, where I found myself in tears talking about how invisible I felt in my marriage, he reached across the seat and took my hand. I didn't pull away. That moment didn't feel like cheating. It felt like someone seeing me, but things escalated. A kiss, then another. We never slept together, but emotionally. I was somewhere else entirely. I found myself dressing nicer on the days I knew I'd see him. Checking my phone more, feeling guilty when my husband kissed me goodnight. My husband found the messages, just one actually, a short one that said, "I miss our talks tomorrow." It was enough. The confrontation was brutal. He kept asking why him. I didn't have a real answer, only that I was lonely, and Jordan filled a space he didn't even know was empty. My husband didn't speak to Jordan again. He transferred to another team at work. We went to counseling. We're still married, but something's changed. The emotional betrayal left scars that no physical affair ever could. Sometimes I wonder if Jordan knew what he was doing from the beginning, or if he too just needed someone. This story isn't about justifying anything. It's about how easy it is to fall, not into lust, but into being seen, and how dangerous it can be when that person isn't your partner. It was raining that evening, and I stood outside the office building, balancing my bag and umbrella, frustrated that my husband was late again. He had called, blaming traffic again. I didn't even roll my eyes this time. I was too tired. That's when Jordan pulled up, window cracked, his voice casual, familiar. Need a ride? My husband's coworker. Someone I'd seen a handful of times at holiday parties. Someone who always seemed at ease, like he was never rushing through life the way I was. I hesitated, but got in. That ride was quiet, comfortable, even warm. He played soft music, asked questions that didn't feel like small talk. Do you like what you do? Do you get time for yourself? Things that made me pause before answering. When I stepped out of his car, I felt more heard than I had in months. It wasn't a big thing at first. Just rides here and there when my husband was caught up late, or when I'd mention offhand that my car was in the shop. Jordan offered and I accepted. The guilt never really came. Not then, because we weren't doing anything wrong. No touching, no flirting, just company. But I noticed myself looking forward to those rides, the easy way we laughed, the way he listened. Not just nodded along, but heard me. When I mentioned I used to write poetry, he asked if I still did. I hadn't written in 6 years. That night, I did. My husband barely noticed. He was exhausted. Work was draining him, and we had settled into that quiet rhythm married people fall into when life gets busy. I didn't resent him for it. I just stopped telling him certain things. I didn't tell him that Jordan complimented my new earrings, or that I laughed until my stomach hurt during one of our conversations in his car. It wasn't secrets. It was silence. That felt safer. There was a night when Jordan brought me coffee with my name written in Sharpie on the lid, followed by a small smiley face. I felt ridiculous for how much it meant to me. But when I opened the cup and saw that he remembered, I take it with oat milk and no sugar, my throat tightened. My husband couldn't even remember I stopped drinking dairy 2 years ago. That's when it started. Not the affair, but the pull, the slow drift of emotional intimacy away from my marriage and towards something I didn't understand yet. I wasn't in love with Jordan. I was in love with being seen, with the space he created where I felt like I mattered again. The shift wasn't loud, it was subtle. It lived in glances, inside jokes, shared playlists, quiet understanding. No one else saw it. Not even me fully. Not until I realized I was dressing up on the days I thought he might be there. And even then, I didn't stop. I didn't want to. He texted one evening, just 4 words, "You okay? You seemed off." I stared at my phone for longer than I should have, not because it was inappropriate, but because I felt. Seen again, he noticed something my husband hadn't even glanced at. That day, I had fought with my manager, skipped lunch, and cried in the bathroom for 10 minutes. I went home to silence, my husband glued to his laptop, nodding at me but asking nothing. I replied to Jordan's message, "Rough day, thank you for asking." It started to unravel quietly after that, not fast, not dramatic, just the small things first. Texting him during the day, sending a photo of my lunch, laughing over memes. He started calling me sunshine, said I lit up his day. I should have stopped it there, but I didn't because I wanted to hear it. I had gone so long without hearing anything that made me feel wanted. We never planned anything. It wasn't calculated, but one evening I had a flat tire. Jordan drove across town to help me. My husband was in a meeting, didn't pick up. Jordan came, no questions, no lecture. Just held the flashlight as he worked, grease on his hands, music playing from his phone. When we finished, I was cold, my hands shaking. He gave me his hoodie, and before I could even think, I was crying again. This time from how safe I felt. He wiped the tears from my cheek and then kissed me. I didn't pull away. I didn't kiss him back either, not really. I froze, and when it ended, we both just stared at each other. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "You just looked so sad," and I didn't answer because deep down, part of me had wanted it, not because of desire, but because it felt like someone had finally reached for me. After that kiss, everything changed. Not in a movie scene kind of way, but in how I thought about everything. I started lying, telling my husband I had work meetings when I didn't, avoiding eye contact when he asked how my day went. I couldn't look him in the eye when he touched my back in bed or told me he loved me. I felt like I was breaking apart from the inside out. Then came the message my husband found, just one. "I miss our talks. Tomorrow." The tone, the timing. He knew. He confronted me that night. He didn't shout. He just looked, destroyed. "Why him?" he asked again and again. "Why would you let him be the one?" I didn't have an answer that could make it okay. I could only say that I had been lonely, that I didn't plan it. That it was emotional, he snapped. "So it's worse than sex." I lost his trust that night. Jordan was gone after that. My husband transferred departments. We stopped talking. No closure, no goodbye. Just silence. What hurt most wasn't the loss. It was knowing I had crossed a line I could never uncross, not with my body but with my heart.